Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the latest edition of the Brick Marketing Live podcast. Today is Wednesday, May 20th. I am Nick Stamoulis, and welcome John and Catherine, the Brick Marketing team. We are going to dive in. Thank you all for joining us. We have a very exciting podcast today. Lots of amazing things happening in the digital marketing world that we want to dive right into. So, first topic, this was a huge breaking news topic, actually. It broke last Friday, and I saw it really like LinkedIn just blew up on this one. So everyone I was pretty much connected to on LinkedIn went crazy over this. I chimed in too and shared it, and it's just unbelievable. So since AI really launched, since ChatGPT launched, Gemini launched, about 3 years ago at this point, and the world has been shifting from traditional SEO to AI search. There's been a lot of acronyms floating around the industry: generative engine optimization, or GEO, answer engine optimization, or AEO. We have always said that, we call it AI search or AI SEO. And the great news is Google now has confirmed that generative engine optimization, answer engine optimization is nothing more than SEO. So search engine optimization now, according to Google, now encompasses AI. And we were excited about it. I was really happy because, this is what we've been saying since we have been, helping our clients with AI search and visibility. So Catherine, John, tell me what you guys think.
Yeah, so this is great because we've been teaching that search is search. And how you get found in search these days is a two-component thing: SEO practices and the AI answers. And so there are similarities but differences between them. And the fact that Google is admitting that search is search is very telling to where things are at in the industry right now and how we should be thinking about it.
Right. John, what do you think?
Yeah, and it's like you said, we've been saying it. We've been saying as long as you have good SEO and you're posting good content to your website, on social media, that is exactly what AI is, taking from. And now we have the confirmation from Google themselves.
Right. Right. It's just wonderful news. Wonderful news. So, moving on. Next, huge topic. Another really big topic from Google. This is actually from CNBC. This has been reported everywhere in the traditional mass media. Google debuts new. First of all, they debut a new search function. So when you go to Google.com, Google search, that box is now changed for the first time in 25 years. And essentially, Google has now incorporated agents, AI agents specifically directly into AI search, into traditional search. So what that means is if you're logged into your Google account, and let's just say you have your favorite band or favorite show you're streaming or movie or actor or whatever you're looking for, you now can literally ask Google to set up an agent custom for you and alert you of when that band is coming or when that show is streaming or whatever it might be. So this is huge. This is further integration of AI into traditional Google search. I mean, this is really huge. Like ChatGPT offers that, but it's another thing when Google changes their search functionality to this magnitude. So this is really big news. So Catherine, John, what do you guys think?
Building on the last one, this builds on it nicely. It shows that we are in flux as a population that's integrating with AI, and the businesses themselves are in flux too, for the better. I feel like the more products that we have to pick and choose from, the better off for us. It's an interesting integration with what was always available, because I always sort of looked at Gemini as the one that I would use to deep dive for research. And I
Right.
have observed that Gemini is better with current events than some of the other ones
Mm-hmm.
because it's directly integrated with Google. So this is an interesting thing to add to the mix as we decide which AI platforms to pick and choose to use for ourselves.
Yeah, it really is. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's very obvious that eventually all we're going to have instead of Google search is some sort of Gemini prompt engine. And for better or for worse, I think that's where we're going,
Yeah.
and this is the next step towards that. I feel like um, it also has some really interesting functionality. Like you said, you can have your agent do something for you, check stuff daily. Maybe even at some point you can easily integrate an agent to check your email and give you the top three most important ones for you to look at in the morning, right? So I think we're going towards a time where everything is a lot more cohesive together in like the whole Google world. And
Right.
I think it's just interesting.
It really is interesting. And the business ramifications of this are going to be immense, and the marketing ramifications of this are going to be even larger. So stay tuned, folks. We'll see what happens with that. Want to just take a quick moment and let everyone know that we are streaming the Brick Marketing Live podcast on the brickmarketing.com website at brickmarketing.com/live. Also on our LinkedIn page, Facebook page, and YouTube page. And also, this will be made available at all of the major streaming platforms a little bit later this afternoon, early evening. So you don't have time to listen to the whole thing today. Definitely follow us and check the full podcast out. Moving on. Great article from Search Engine Land. Why TurboQuant, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct, could accelerate the shift to entity-driven SEO. So I think that really the few takeaways that I took away from this piece was that SEO is moving toward true meaning and instant intent matching. And the other piece is useless content will end. And I honestly think this is great. I really do. And, with us at Brick Marketing, we've always helped our clients really map the intent of content. And like we always say, Catherine, this, early, mid, and late sales cycle type content, which is great, right? You have to understand the intent of your content as you're creating it. And so I think this is really just the next step in the next direction. And the fact that Google in Google Gemini will eventually just completely discount useless content, I think is wonderful. For years, people have tried to game the system and taking, a black hat approach to creating content. And I'm very happy that that will all end. So, Catherine, what do you think?
This looks to be the beginning of the integration of traditional search and AI. I mean, we've been seeing the evidence of this, but the fact that
Yep.
this is algorithm, because AI isn't inherently algorithmic, it's something
Right.
else.
Right.
Incorporating elements of algorithm approach, it's kind of telling to me where things might be headed.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. John, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this will also push people towards doing more quality over quantity.
Yes.
I feel like a lot, I mean, you'll go on LinkedIn, you'll go on Reddit, you'll go on all these platforms, and all you're seeing is just spam, spam, spam. Because,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was, a time where SEO was like completely quantity driven. Like you post as much
Right.
as you can all the time. And with AI, we're seeing that the more quality is more, authoritative. And now people are going to be a lot more intentional about the things that they post online, their blogs, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. Next it is an article from our website entitled "Instincts Matter When Choosing a Digital Marketing Agency." So essentially, the thought behind this particular article, again, this is on our website, on the Brick Marketing website. Really, the intent here is for folks to kind of understand that, if you're a smaller business or a mid-sized company or even an enterprise brand, and you're looking to hire some sort of an agency, so to manage your search, to manage your AI SEO, your paid search, your social media, content marketing, whatever it happens to be, yes, you want to make sure that they're legitimate. They've been in business a long time. They're experts at what they do. They do a good job for themselves as well as a brand and a company. You got to practice what you preach. They have good case studies, good testimonials. But at the end of the day, your instincts also matter. in selecting a digital marketing agency as a partner, i.e. an extension of your marketing organization. So that's the reason kind of why we put this article together, was that, often many times people are just so focused on, hey, can I get references and this, and they just complicate the process, right? If you have a real need and you want a real partner to help you accomplish the goals and achieve outcomes that you're looking for your business, make sure all these other factors are in place, but don't drag your feet too long. When you find the right agency, the right partner, move on it. Because the sooner you move on it, that means the sooner that results start coming in. So, Catherine, what do you think? Your thoughts?
Yes, so I was reflecting on this today, thinking about the people that we've worked with over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the people that we're working with, right?
Exactly.
They're part of their
Exactly.
company.
Right.
But this on paper, you could look great to work together. But at the end of the day, you have to feel comfortable with the people that you're going to be working with. And it works on both sides of the coin. And that's
Yep.
where instincts come in. The
Yeah.
instincts will help you
100%.
determine which people you're going to be good with, because if you have any sort of a personality clash, or if it's delightful and you really genuinely like them as people, you're going to get so much more out of the relationship between agency and business.
Agreed. Couldn't have said it better. John, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the instincts are important, because I think that, like, deep down, when someone's not the right fit for you. And
Yeah.
I think that you get that feeling really quickly. And I think you should just
Right.
sort of listen to that instead of, like you said, dragging your feet. Maybe the agency's stringing one person along, maybe, it's the client stringing them along. And then you just end up spending all this time when you could have just listened to that instinct and then moved on and then found the agency that's right for you.
Totally. Totally. And another piece of advice: if you don't have the budget, don't waste our time. Not to be brutally honest, but to be brutally honest, right? Like, so, you can't have buyer's remorse on this stuff. It's either you're all in and you go, you hire the right partner and move, get started, get to getting the outcomes that you're looking for. So, moving on. Next, great piece, great article from Search Engine Journal. This was actually really big. This is another one of those topics that blew up in my LinkedIn last week, and it was crazy. And I saw it a whole bunch of places. The Condé Nast CEO quoted saying, "Plan as if search traffic will be zero." I thought this was fantastic, and that's someone who's been doing this. I've been doing professional SEO for decades. Long time. And when I saw this, I thought it was wonderful, because so many times we've had clients and we've worked with companies and we've spoken to folks over the many, many years that put all of their eggs in the SEO basket, that say, you know, you know, SEO is the primary driver of business for your website. And I, as a marketer, and we as a marketing agency, a digital marketing agency, have always said, great, search has always been the foundation, but you have to market your business many different ways. Look at advertising, look at branding, right? What does your email marketing look like? Partnerships, sponsorships, business development activities. Just don't hinge the whole success of your business on one channel. And for years, people have done that. And so I thought this was great. The timing of this was great. And I have a feeling that a lot of enterprise organizations and CEOs and C-suite at a lot of companies think that way and say, you know what? I can't swear. I'm not going to swear, but F SEO, let's market our business a lot of other ways to try to get the outcomes that we're looking for. Seriously. And it's great, because if you do that, then your SEO will do well. Naturally, organically, your AI SEO will do great. The citations you'll get will be fantastic. So I thought this was a great, refreshing piece. It was great to hear this from a C-suite and a major organization. So what do you guys think? Catherine?
I mean, I won't say search traffic is zero already, but also it kind of is.
Yeah, yeah, right.
We're experiencing that now, because the whole notion of the long tail keywords, none of that is really resulting in traffic. Really, not
Right.
much in any case, because it seems as if people are already using AI to gather a lot of their information off site, off of our websites. But we are still getting search traffic with like some branded content, but that tells me that everything is sort of changing. So what I really like about what the CEO said is that um, it's almost like giving us this reassurance. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Plan for something else. Like we can't get stuck in the past anymore because it's clear that things are changing and have changed and will continue to change. So now what? We just think about the now what. What do we do
Right.
now? How do we market our business and just let it go? Let the past go. The past
Yeah.
is going to stay there. Everything is changing too much. And also, it could be spun as changing for the better if we know how to handle this new
Right.
phase properly.
Totally. Totally. John, your thoughts?
Yeah, if anything, I'm a believer that if AI is going to make a difference in anything, it's going to be the way that we search. It's a very, very powerful search engine.
Yep.
And we won't be like, we're already seeing it with Google, like we said earlier. It's changing. And I don't think we're going to be looking at search traffic in the next, maybe, I don't know how long, maybe 5-10 years from now. It's going to be something else that we're tracking. There won't be, you know, it won't be keywords anymore. It'll be, you're going to go in, you're going to ask Google, Gemini, whatever, the same type of questions that you might ask a search engine, but you're going to get back with far more detailed answers. And then people are going to go straight to your website, or even find the information they need from, Gemini or ChatGPT, what it may be. And then essentially all of the way that we're tracking data is going to be completely changed.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. It's going to be outcome based, truly. Like old world of thinking, conversion based, but I think it's going to be outcome based. And I think you're right. Yep. All right. Moving on. Now, here's a piece, here's an article from the Coast News Group. So, kind of a California based publication. But I thought it was great. So, the question it poses is why your digital marketing isn't bringing in customers. And so, the person actually goes through and talks about, how do I get more people into the door? How can I get more calls? So they've been told what works. They post more, run discounts, spend time designing graphics. They try to stay consistent. And then the article kind of goes through and says, the hard truth. People don't buy because you post more. They don't buy because you don't discount everything. They don't buy because you spent hours making a cute graphic. Why do they buy? And I thought this was great. It really talked about the psychology of digital marketing. One is social proof. Can I trust you? Scarcity and urgency. Why should I act now? And, you helped me. Now I trust you. Authority. Are you the expert? So, and then it goes it further into it and gives a hypothetical, digital marketing plan fix. I thought this was a great article because what it did is it talked more about things that we all know, right? That we know here at Brick Marketing, that we help our clients with, that we practice as an agency. You have to be trusted. You have to know what if you have a product, you have to be the expert at that product. What's in it for the customer, right? I mean, it's basic marketing fundamentals, but so many business owners and small business owners aren't marketers. That's the reality. Marketing is a second afterthought. And unfortunately, sales and marketing should be the first thought, right? Because if you have a product or service that isn't marketable, that there's no demand, that you're not trusted for, that people don't, right? It's not going to perform. So that is a great piece. So yeah, what do you guys think on this?
I was chatting with somebody about this today. Too
Really?
often, yes, it came up. My sister is in marketing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So too often we think of, it was a philosophical discussion. Anyway, too often we think of digital marketing and any sort of marketing practice as a string of activities that we do. And
Mm-hmm.
this is true, but we often miss how it strategically fits into the business goals. And so that
Right.
piece is always considered when deciding what articles to post, for example, on a blog. Like there's more to that than just deciding on the topics and writing them and putting them up. That is
Right.
the way that it's executed and implemented, but that is not that is just not the way that it's done. You have to align everything that you're doing to your goals and think about how that fits into the sales cycle and everything in between. And if those pieces aren't connected to each other and to the marketing activities, you're going to have a hard time bringing in customers, because it's not,
Right.
marketing is not the activities that you do. It's how your activities strategically are influenced by your business goals to get the outcomes that you want.
Totally, totally. Yeah. I mean, Catherine, you and I were at an event yesterday, and it was some great folks there. But the underlying theme that I heard was people tend to get very overwhelmed looking at tasks and often forget about the strategy behind the tasks, and they get bogged down. And so, the reality is, folks, this stuff is not brain surgery. It's not that hard to really understand, and it's very easy, I would say, if you're a small business owner, to look at the next shiny new object, to look at the next new tool that all of a sudden this is the new tool. Oh, I got to try this. Oh, I got to try that. I look at that. No, look at what you're doing. Look at your strategy. Understand your audience, and like you said, Catherine, has to be tied to your goals. So, John, what do you think on this? Get your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, the way that your product or business is like packaged and seen by others is definitely important, but the product has to be there and the messaging has to be there, right? It's not
Right.
it's only a small slice of the pie the way that people perceive you, because you
Mm-hmm.
could create, say for example, an amazing ad that looks great. People are, it might have a million impressions online, but if you get no sales from it because the product within it isn't good or interesting, then it's useless, right? So you have to make
Right.
sure that your product's good, that that everything is aligned with each other so that you can bring in customers.
Totally. 100%. Next, great article from Inc.com, Inc. Magazine. And this particular piece, the name of the article is Social Media is Not Enough: How Smart Founders Market Themselves in the Age of AI. I thought this was great because the lens of this was for folks or businesses that are maybe top heavy in social media, and often many times don't invest the time, effort, and resources behind some of these other channels. So some of the key takeaways here is, the one thing that the article says is use social media for lead gen, then send customers to the platforms you control. Focus on building your email list. That's a really big thing that often a lot of folks don't kind of think about. Create a personal brand that shows up in traditional and AI search. Leverage offline marketing channels. I think in the age of AI that we're in, that people want to feel connected and trusted and want to know that there's realness, right, behind a brand, behind a product. So I thought this was great. Often many times, I'll go on TikTok and I'll see, TikTokers that, I could tell have a good following, or, are making sales or selling products, almost like shopping network type style where they promote products and stuff like that, which is awesome. I love it. But on the flip side, I'll sometimes say, oh, I don't really want to follow them on TikTok. Let me look at their Instagram presence, and they have no presence on Instagram. And then I might search for their handle, and they don't have a presence. They don't have a website, don't have a presence anywhere, don't have a list. So the point is, if you're starting with one channel, don't be top heavy in one area of your marketing. That was the takeaway that I got from it. Make sure it's diversified as much as you're able to. So anyway, I thought it was a great piece from Inc. Catherine, John, what do you guys think?
This goes along with what I said last article, a few articles ago. Your marketing is not a string of activities.
Right.
It's how everything fits together. And the same
Yep.
is true for social media. Where people might get tripped up is if they're on their personal brand is typically used for social media, like LinkedIn, but
Mm-hmm.
that still fits into the strategy of your overall digital marketing and has to be aligned with your outcomes. So just like with any asset online, social media is not one that you technically own. You're writing your
Right.
content on the site, and the social media site owns your content. So
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right on that, Catherine. Like,
yeah,
think of this. Think of this. If you're top heavy in social, what if one day you get a terms and services violation arbitrarily, and you're shut down? I've
Yeah.
actually seen that firsthand.
Me too.
And it's brutal because there's no service. There's no customer service at YouTube, at TikTok, at Facebook, at Instagram, at X. They could care, honestly, all due respect to social media. And I know some people, I love it. We're active everywhere.
Mm.
But our brand is Brick Marketing. To me,
Yes.
that's the brand. So, like in the days of, if you go back, turn the clock back, MySpace, right? They went under. I mean, I could literally list maybe half a dozen other social platforms that went defunct over the years. And the key is, if you're creating the good content, you want to have that brand kind of built, and different,
Yes.
not just social media, but other channels as well. I guess that
Mm.
was the point of this. I thought this was great. So, John, what do you think on this?
Yeah, you need to be everywhere on social media, but also you need to have your own personal brand. You need to have,
Right.
if you're a company, you need to have your website where people
Totally.
know to find you. Because, like you said, MySpace went away.
Right.
A lot of people don't use X or Twitter anymore because they don't
Right.
like the new, whatever. So there's that, that audience that's now gone, right?
Right.
So if they know they can still find you at your website or, wherever you might be,
Yep.
it's important. You need to be well-rounded.
Yeah. 100%. Next article from our site, from the Brick Marketing website. Improve AI search visibility without hurting SEO. So this is the approach that we take. And, we were actually speaking with a client not too long ago, and, we were rolling out on-site optimization changes, content changes, and AI changes, AI search changes all at the same time. That's the approach that we take, is balancing, right? And we've talked about it at webinars and workshops and various events over the last year and a half or so. And it's the same. It's an important factor that just because your SEO isn't driving the traffic that it used to, your visibility is still there, right? And so you don't want to ignore it, but also when you're maybe optimizing your content, your website for generative engine optimization or answer engine optimization or AI SEO, you want to make sure that you're not forgetting about the fundamentals of modern SEO in this process. And you don't want to do something that's going to hurt your modern SEO just for something that's an emerging channel, a very important but emerging channel of digital marketing in AI SEO. So, Catherine and John, what do you guys think on this?
Now that Google announced what they did, where search is search and AI
Yep,
and SEO are all part of that, this is even more meaningful
it really
because
is.
it shows that they're tied together. And we wrote this back in April before Google made that announcement. So this is what we believe. This
Hmm.
is aligned with where the industry is headed. And you need to do both. And a lot of times we've seen people using AI, what they think is best practice for AI, and then they scrub everything that had to do with their SEO.
Right,
Like somebody proposed to us, oh, what if we just delete our title tags and meta descriptions? No, you're not going to delete those.
right,
You leave those intact. That would hurt your SEO. Oh, but
right,
SEO isn't, it's headed to not be viable anymore. It's not true.
right,
It's still viable. AI is
right.
viable. We need to take all that into account.
It's evolving is the key thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, John, what do you think?
Yeah, like, in that first Google article, SEO is a huge part of AI. So you need to
Right,
make sure that your SEO is still good and strong. And then what's nice about the way that you can also have good results in AI is that it's all like really good SEO, like
right,
writing good articles that are quality works with both SEO and AI SEO.
right.
So it's like you're not you're not hurting your SEO by writing good content. Your SEO will get better and so will your AI results.
Yes, agreed. Moving on. Next, an article. Actually, this was interesting. Um, Found this one from Rolling Stone, The End of Digital Marketing in the Age of AI Agents. And really kind of the thought on this, and this is actually very interesting because this to me, Rolling Stone is a music publication, has been for decades. right? Music website. And so I thought this was very interesting because this aligns with something that we've actually been talking about for a little while, that eventually you're going to need to have two digital marketing campaigns. One is going to be for human beings, right? Your audience, of course, right? And your brand, improving your brand, building trust, having great quality content, good usability, good products and services. That is a must. But then you're going to have a whole nother marketing program that is built around getting the attention of AI agents. And so I think that this process is beginning with the Google news that just broke out about agents getting integrated into search like that. This is the start of that, literally. And it's amazing how a music publication like Rolling Stone would report that. I just thought it was a great piece. I think it's not necessarily relevant only to music. That's why I pulled it in. I just think it's great. And it'll be interesting to see, how things flesh out. And even now, it's more important than ever to have real experts at digital marketing that can see big picture, that can see the details, that can help you from a high level strategic perspective and understand and how to implement and evolve changes rapidly. That's what and i.e. people like us, quite frankly. That's how we operate, because you need that strategic know-how, resilience, and a steady hand right now as this change is happening, because this is huge. This is really huge if you think about it. So, Catherine, John, what do you guys think?
What a fascinating thing that an article like this is in Rolling Stone magazine. It goes to
Right?
show how culturally pervasive these topics are. And if you think
Yep.
about it, the music industry is big, and
Right.
they're trying to navigate the AI era just as much as the rest of us are.
Right.
So very fascinating. I feel like digital marketing as we know it is still viable. It's evolving and changing. AI agents are up and coming as well. So for me, it'll just be interesting. People can make claims all they want, but for me, it'll
Right.
just be interesting how everything turns out.
Absolutely. John, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it just sort of makes sense, right? Because a lot of people are going to, even more people are going to be going to AI to,
Right.
get their information. So you need to both meet the, the audience where they're at, and you also need to figure out how to get in the conversations that they're having with their chatbots. Yeah, I mean, I think that they're completely right on this.
I agree. I agree. Moving on next, great article from Web Pro News. OpenAI swaps ChatGPT's core engine. GPT 5.5 instant cuts hallucinations by 52%, sharpens everyday AI. I've actually noticed this change, quite frankly. In chat, I have paid accounts, not just the low end pay accounts, but the top paid accounts for all of the AI platforms. And I use chat quite a bit. And I've noticed it really not hallucinating as much. Again, on the higher paid versions, I haven't tested the being logged out, the free versions. I haven't tested that, but I think this is great. I think this is the step in the right direction, and because I think we've all been there where the hallucinations come in, and then you push back on chat or any of the AI platforms, and then they fold quickly and say, "Oh yeah, you're right." Kind of like, okay, So I thought this was great to see. So, guys, what do you think?
I have noticed fewer hallucinations as well, and the output being a little bit higher quality. There, of course, there's some kinks. I feel like there's some kinks. It sometimes will forget my instructions in a thread or
Hmm.
bias my instructions with its own understanding of the instructions without asking follow-up questions if it doesn't know what to do. However, 5.5 is a lot better than other GPT-5 releases. It's trending in the right direction.
Yeah, it really is. John, what do you think? And have you noticed any change in using chat?
I personally haven't, but I don't think maybe because I haven't started any like new chat threads in the past few days. Maybe that's
Yeah,
why. Maybe it's still like using the old information from that
sure.
thread or whatever. I guess we'll just have to like wait and see over time if we all still feel that way, that the hallucinations
Right.
are down. Who knows?
Yeah. The reality is all these platforms are just getting better, and they're going to get faster, smarter, hallucinate less, have less drift, and just be great tools for all of us. So next, article from Search Engine Land. Google may be about to widen the SEO playing field. So this is an interesting topic, basically talking about how Google's algorithm, because remember, Google's algorithmic in nature, isn't, and right now anyway, isn't a true LLM where Gemini is. Gemini is an AI platform, a learning mechanism. And so what's interesting on this is there are theories that essentially the search results are going to get larger. So basically, instead of top 20 blue links, they're talking about perhaps widening it to 30 links per page of search results. I think I know why they're doing that. I mean, my own personal opinion is they're doing it to give more visibility to folks, to serve up more impressions, to help brands as this change is happening. I mean, Google can't be I think Google is definitely benefiting quite a bit on this change. I mean, we at Brick Marketing have seen a tremendous influx in pay-per-click advertising clients and Google Ads clients. We have this year. And the underlying theme is, of course, they're all outcome-based, to increase sales, increase different various goals. But the reality is the underlying on that is I feel like a lot of companies are freaked out over AI to a certain degree, and there's paralysis, and they're running to the fields of things that have traditionally worked. Like, oh, traditional SEO is down with zero-click search. Some of these other channels, we know social media, unless you're doing paid, has a very low visibility rate. So what's left in traditional older school thinking, and that's paid advertising of Google Ads, a pay-per-click. So I think Google might be just kind of like throwing a bone, or actually legitimately trying to help businesses, small businesses and mid-sized brands and companies overall, and just having more search results. But we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. So what do you guys think?
I think this is interesting as well because I don't know. I find it interesting that they're using the term rankings, actually,
I know.
because it goes to show a lot of people are ready to embrace the future of things to come. And articles like this show that there's still a bit of a hanging on to the
Mm-hmm.
past that
Right.
needs to be reconciled. It's proof that we're definitely in transition. We could talk about AI all we want, but
Right.
if we're still thinking about SEO in this way, and
Right.
ranking as a word has not been viable for, in my opinion, for several
Oh,
years now.
I'd say at least, in my opinion, I mean, at least 10 years, maybe longer.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I mean, I haven't said
So,
the word ranking to a client probably since like 2010. I mean, really
yeah,
haven't.
me neither.
Yeah.
And the
It's
language
irrelevant.
in it, SEO has been in a fight for the first page of Google. Okay,
Right.
sure. But okay, I'm curious where the future plays into this
Yeah. Yeah.
mindset.
True. John, what do you think?
I mean, I think it's interesting. It gives smaller businesses, people who might not have um, the history or the money to get higher up on search results, to both be maybe indexed more or be found by people. I think it's
Mhm.
good. I don't know if it'll make that big of a difference. Who
Yeah, I
really
agree.
knows?
I agree.
Because like we said, things are shifting.
Right.
It might help some people, but I don't think things will change all too much because of it.
Yep. Yep. Agreed. Take a moment here just to remind everyone we're streaming on the Brick Marketing website, brickmarketing.com/live. We're also streaming on our LinkedIn company page, Facebook company page, YouTube channel, and also this will be available at all major podcast platforms later today. So check it out. Search for Brick Marketing Live. Moving on. Next is a really cool article that is from Adweek, talking about, the title is Coca-Cola is so good at marketing everyone forgot to notice. And then the byline is, the numbers prove that consistency beats disruption every quarter. I thought this was brilliant because it's so many levels. What human being on planet Earth doesn't know the brand Coca-Cola? First of all, okay? Right? Coke is a generational brand that markets, it continues to market generation after generation in every language, in every country in the globe, right? Who doesn't know what Coke is? And so, but here's the thing. They continue to spend money on branding. They continue to market, even though everyone knows them. That's the point. And I thought this was great because I feel in today's world, traditional branding is often forgot about quite a bit, right? You need every channel that we talk about every day in, day out. AI SEO, traditional SEO, content marketing, social media, your advertising, whether it be PPC or social advertising, partnerships and marketing offline different ways. But branding, a lot of businesses just truly forget the importance of branding. And this, this is a huge brand, obviously one of the top, but it also is very applicable to smaller and mid-sized brands, smaller and mid-sized companies as well, right? If you're in a niche and you're B2B, right, and you know that there's 3 industry sites and there's maybe 2 print publications and there's 4 core conferences, why not, and 2 associations, why not be sponsors at all of them? Why not market at all of them heavily, right? Be the household name in your niche. And so that's what my takeaway for this. I thought it was brilliant. The fact that Coca-Cola is still consistent, and we talk about consistency every day in every channel of marketing. I just thought this was a great article. It was a great take. And I see so many parallels that can help small and mid-sized companies on this as well. So, guys, what do you think?
A few things. One is that branding is one of those things that happens both naturally and intentionally.
Right.
And it strikes me that Coca-Cola has been good at both of them. The name is recognizable and has been for a very long time. And they are constantly, I mean, even look at that image. We know the Coca-Cola logo,
Right.
and it gets plunked on just about everything that you can think of, the bottles, merch. Okay.
Right.
But branding is important for the AI era too, because the stronger your brand, the more likely you are to be returned in the AI answers and when people are chatting about
Right.
something that's related to your industry. So that's a good takeaway from this for any business of any size and in any industry. And then the second is, this also goes to show you that it aligns with what we always say: consistency matters. And it's always made us feel uncomfortable to see a business. I'm talking 10, 20 years. How long have we been in business, right?
Right.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right. Agreed.
You got to
Agreed.
be everywhere. And this is another little bit of a proof, sure, on a larger scale than most of us.
Yeah.
But this
Right.
is this is this is proof that it works.
Right.
And we should feel inspired by it, I think.
Absolutely. I agree. John, what do you think?
Yeah, Coke is such an interesting case of branding because they're so huge. They honestly might have the best branding on the planet, right? Like you
I
said,
agree.
can't think of one
No.
person on the planet who doesn't know about Coke. But you're right that all brands need to be everywhere. Something that I think about all the time is how you might go into I'm sure you've seen restaurants where their signs have Coke branding on them, right? So
Right.
it's like they understand how important it is just to be everywhere. Like, you are going to see Coke. You go outside your house and go for a drive, you're going to see a Coke logo somewhere, right?
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
it's a really interesting case of like that, like late stage super huge branding done right.
Right. Agreed. Agreed. Next, really great piece from Search Engine Land. Why your brand isn't making the AI recommendation set. So Search Engine Land nailed it on this one again. And essentially, they talk about that the invisible layer most GEO advice skips, and that is branding, right? And so, and that's something that I think companies are really going to have to kind of get their heads around in the next year, especially where they say, okay, we all our other channels of digital marketing are maxed. AI search is our priority. Showing up in the AI answers, whether it's answer engine optimization, GEO, whatever you want to call it, being visible in AI search is the priority. You need to market your company lots of ways, be visible lots of places. We just talked about branding, right? So it's at a smaller scale. You need to do that as your budget allows and be very strategic about it. Pick your spots, right? They're going to drive the right visibility for you, the right type of visibility, the right targeted audiences, potentially help you with outcomes you're looking for, goals and conversions that you're looking for, but you need to brand. And that is a major thing that we're seeing, that a lot of companies are going to miss the boat, where, you can optimize your site great, have great content, great FAQs, micro cluster content, and good press releases, all this stuff. But if you're not branding your company and marketing the business heavily, you're not going to see the results versus your competition. It's just how it is. So, Catherine, John, what do you guys think on that?
So, one thing that's happening right now is because AI is we're in transition with it and we're learning how it works for us. There isn't a lot of, there's some terminology confusion that I wanted to clear up with this.
Mm-hmm.
This publication uses the term AI citation slightly different than us. We refer to it as your outside marketing, an opportunity like a press release or an article mention or something off your website. But they are actually talking about AI citations in this piece as the information that's returned when somebody asks a AI chat or whatever a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that interesting that the terminology isn't cohesive yet, and because we refer to that as AI answers, AI recommendations, we refer to that a little bit differently. So I find
Right.
it interesting that it appears as if through this article, it appears as if they're starting to warm up to this idea that we we can't control how anybody perceives us, and this
Mm-hmm.
goes for back in the days where SEO was purely the thing, and we can't control how AI perceives us, but how we are perceived can be sort of influenced by how we collect our marketing together, both offsite and offsite. So,
Yep.
optimizing for AI citations is possible if we really think about how to make our brand cohesive across the internet as a whole and
Right.
honor it in all of our marketing. And so I find this article interesting on many levels because although we cannot control things, we can change the way we're perceived online so that AI could potentially pick up the correct information about us. So this article is meaningful in that regard.
Absolutely. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't have too much to add, but we've been saying this for as long as, this podcast has been a thing, and even before to clients, that the clarity and relevance of your brand is one of the most important things for AI. Because if your branding is inconsistent, then AI doesn't know what to pull from. It might get
Right.
confused, and then you might either get somebody, it might pop up in somebody's AI answers with incorrect information, or it just might not be pulled at all.
Right. Agreed. Agreed. Next, moving on. From Web Pro News, a great article, Google's AI ad boom, how brands are scoring 80% sales surge in a shifting search world. So this is great. And basically this article talks on the pay-per-click side of things, how there have been a number of studies and trends at various brands in various industries that show excellent results from launching AI Max, or Google Ad Max type programs. So I think it's interesting. I have tested it for certain types of campaigns. The AI Max works great. And for those of you that don't understand what I'm talking about, basically when you set up a Google Ads campaign, you can choose to have Google Ads platform run your PPC campaign autonomously versus manually managing it. And so we generally will do a hybrid of both, depending on the goals, the outcomes, and what we need to achieve with the PPC campaign. But I thought this was interesting. Now would I recommend every business just roll the dice and run an AI Max campaign? Absolutely not, because quite frankly, you guys aren't experts at it. Really. I mean, not to be crass about it, but we've been managing PPC campaigns professionally since, I've been personally doing it since 2001 professionally. And so in brick marketing, we've been doing it as long as we've been in business, for almost going on 22 years, right? So someone like us will be able to pick up on variables when we're setting up the campaign that will help control the budget and help keep it as targeted as humanly possible, versus a small business owner or a mid-sized company that says, oh, this is great. They slap their credit card, put their ad, and then there's a very good chance that it's going to run haywire and not get you the outcomes you're looking for and achieve the goals. So I guess the notion is test it. If you know how to run PPC campaigns on your own, test it for sure. But make sure you test it, I would say, because every situation is completely different. So, Catherine, John, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to work for every brand. And I'd be interested to see how this plays out, because I feel like the AI ad stuff is going to start working even better.
I
Right
think
now,
so.
yeah, right now it kind of depends on the intent, I think, of the campaign, what you're trying to achieve. Can the AI Max and Direct let you discover what your full intent is? I don't know. I think it has a ways to go, but the data about how people are reporting sales surges is interesting to me. It's intriguing. I'd like to see how this plays out.
Yeah, agreed. John, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it makes a good jumping on point for people who might not know anything about running campaigns, or businesses who traditionally have not done it before. And it might, you might see some better results than if they were to do it themselves. But I think you still need like the expert to come in and actually do your campaigns manually, because I
Mm-hmm.
think you'll see better results from that. But if you're just looking to try out, right,
Mm-hmm.
this sort of thing, it could be a good time for you to just play around with it, test. But
Yep,
I will always recommend, having an expert do it.
totally, for sure. Next, a really great article from Search Engine Journal. The IT line of death, the real reason enterprise SEO stalls. I thought this was absolutely a great article, really great, because we've encountered this before, literally over and over and over again, where, and I'll tell you, just for folks that don't understand what we're talking about. So small and mid-sized companies generally don't have an IT department, generally don't have a in-house web developer, and generally, need to outsource to companies like us, who has developers on our team that can handle any technical implementation or anything technically that needs to get implemented that contributes towards technical SEO. Enterprise organizations operate a lot differently. They have typically an in-house developer or an in-house development team, an in-house IT team, which typically straddles the line between web development and then non-web development, depending on the complexity of the back-end environment. Because IT is a huge umbrella, right? You're right. If you're in an enterprise, that means a large organization. You could have all sorts of databases and servers and admins, and it's a pretty large, it's a large thing. So SEO typically sometimes will fall in the technical realm in enterprise companies, which I believe is false. I believe it's always been short-sighted, always. I believe SEO always will be a channel of digital marketing, period. But you need good technical implementation to get the results and outcomes that you're looking for. But there's a balance sometimes, right? Where you need to prioritize implementation of something technical that might affect something else that could be potentially more mission critical, more important than SEO. The reason why I'm saying all this is many times large companies and enterprise companies get in their own way and move so slow at implementation of technical items related to SEO that nothing ever kind of gets done and the results stall. And so the point is, I thought this was a really great piece from Search Engine Journal. I think it's a problem that has been in place for decades, as long as I've been doing this. And I hope with now these AI platforms out there and these AI tools can really help development move things forward quicker. To help so these enterprise organizations can actually implement, whether it's modern SEO, traditional modern SEO or AI SEO, technical implementation a lot better to get better outcomes. So, Catherine, John, what do you guys think on this?
We've seen it over and over again where
Yeah,
implementation is slow. Things never get implemented because they got bogged down in approvals. It just hurts your results. It ruins your consistency. It hurts your results. And sometimes things take so long to be implemented. By the time they do, the information's outdated.
right,
So, digital marketing, there's an element of taking action as quickly as humanly possible. And if it takes
right,
forever to take that action, then that strikes me as an operational issue, to be honest. What
right,
is the problem here? What else takes a long time? Why does your marketing get bogged down,
right,
including your SEO? Those are questions that need to be answered if a company is going to be able to move forward in anything that they try to
right.
do.
Exactly. John, your thoughts?
Yeah, when you add that extra layer, there's a lot more friction that's going to come from it.
Yeah.
And when you're putting SEO on the IT people, like, sure, they have the technical knowledge to implement SEO, but they might not have the marketer's perspective where they know the right keywords, where they know
Mm-hmm.
all the right techniques in order to maximize the um the relevance of whatever they're doing, so yeah, adding that extra layer of friction makes things slower, and you might not get as good as of a result. So I think that this should this should definitely be, the marketer's job.
Absolutely. Moving on, last one for today is an article from the Brick Marketing website. Why clear messaging beats more content. I thought this was great because, and really our intent here with this piece was for folks to kind of understand, because we're starting to see this with a lot of our clients, kind of that pushback on creating content, right? And we've always seen this over the years, of, oh, well, we have nothing interesting to write, and I don't want to have a blog on my site. I don't like the word blog. All these things. When we say content, we mean it could be video content, white paper content, case study content, right? I mean, article content, blog content. This is so many different definitions of content. But the reality is, more content doesn't necessarily mean your messaging is going to get better. And having clear messaging that ties to your mission, your unique selling proposition, your brand, that's consistent everywhere is what will win, not only in AI SEO, but will win with your customers, with getting the outcomes and getting more business, right? And so that was the intent behind this article is, yes, content's important, but your messaging needs to be tight and clear and unified everywhere continually. And so, yeah. So, Catherine, John, what do you guys think?
Yeah, for a long time, people have erroneously believed that, oh, our content strategy is working great. Let's post more content. That's not the case. There's diminished returns. What's more important now more than ever is to make sure that your topic is covered well and
Mm-hmm.
cohesively and that your message is clear.
Right,
Having a topic covered well and cohesively does not necessarily mean you need more and more articles. It could mean that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. Your messaging always has to be first before you embark on a journey of adding content to your site. Otherwise, You could be repeating yourself. You
Yeah.
could be creating content that you may have forgotten that you created 3 months ago. You could be making it so that people are starting to feel confused about what your messaging after it actually is. There's information overload. You don't want that to happen. So focus on your
Right.
messaging first and decide what that means for the content after. That's the most important
Absolutely.
thing.
Absolutely. John, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier that your messaging, especially in the age of AI, needs to be cohesive across all of your channels, no matter where it is, whether it's social media, whether it's your website, whether it's your Google My Business page,
Mm-hmm.
Yelp. Everything needs to be, you know, clear, and the messaging needs to be authoritative, because otherwise you're not going to get those AI citations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's it for today. That is what we have. Thank you all for listening to the Brick Marketing Live podcast. Want to let everyone know that, again, this streams live on our website. We'll have this archived on our website. It will also be on all the major podcast platforms later this evening. Our next date that we are live is next week. And we will be with you on Tuesday, May 26th at approximately 4:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live. But again, you can always check us out on any major platform. So just follow us, subscribe at all the podcast platforms, and you'll be notified when there's a new episode, so you don't have to worry about watching this live. A few other things. We have an upcoming webinar on June 10th. Just go to the Brick Marketing website and you can join our free webinar on June 10th. And again, we would like to thank everyone for taking the time, and we will be with you next week. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.